6 days away from the 2021 NFL Draft. Welcome to Good Morning Football. We're here to give you a crash course on some of the top prospects heading to the NFL, 2 at a time. It's called GMFB's 2-A-Days. And Nate, you're going to tell us all about someone we might not know everything about.
That's right. Today, it's all about the quarterback position. But the ones you haven't been paying attention to. So let's break down one of the guys that we haven't talked about much on the show, but you're going to like these highlights. Florida's quarterback, Kyle Trask. Kyle means handsome. I learned that from Kyle Brandt. Is that true?
We can Google it. Go ahead.
Okay. All right. This guy's a handsome guy, and he looks good on the field, too. Check out this ball up the seam. That's a perfectly thrown seam route. The deep ball with the arc on top, which means he has the touch. What about movement inside the pocket? All right, he's going to get flushed out of the pocket, but instead of running, he says, you know what, I'm going to step up in the pocket. Check out his helmet, though. No panic. It's not bouncing up and down. He wants to get the ball downfield. Even though he could have took off and used his legs, he could have taken off and used his legs. But here's the thing, though. Ball placement. You have a defender underneath, a defender over the top, and he puts it in the perfect position for his wide receiver to go up and get it. Playmaking ability. Check this out. Once again, you have somebody leaking. When you have an offensive lineman looking at you, you know that you have somebody in your face. But it doesn't matter, though. Fade shooting a mid-range shot, and then he drops it in the bucket. Ooh, this man could chuck it 2 tears in a bucket. And that right there is beautifully placed. Wide receiver gets upfield, yards after catch, giving your playmakers a chance to make a play. What about this? Check out his helmet. What is he looking at?
Yeah.
Is he trying to fool the defense? Oh, yes, he is. He knows if I pay attention and look to the left, the defense will focus on the left side of the field. I can take it myself, use this big frame, use this athletic ability to get into the end zone. And that right there is what he does. Check out the frame, though. 6'5", 236, 2020 Heisman finalist. He led FBS with 43 touchdowns in 2020. His grandfather, Orville Trask. Oh, nice. Oh, yeah, he was also a baller, 2-time AFL champion with the Houston Oilers. So listen, if you want a guy to come in and do the work that you don't want to do, call the Trask Rabbit. It's Kyle Trask.
Peter, what's the factoid about Kyle Trask?
We went to a very, very competitive high school, and the quarterback there was a guy named De'Aaron King, who now plays for Miami. Kyle Trask never started a game in high school at quarterback. Got one offer to a scholarship, went to Florida, and guess who's making those passes on all this Tony and Pitts highlights that we've been watching? Kyle Trask. He had an amazing career.
What's that about it? KB, who you got?
I got another quarterback. Okay. All right, another SEC quarterback. This is a guy named Kellen Mond. Now, if you don't know about him at home, let me just set the table for you a little bit first before we get to the highlights. You understand what we're talking about. Kellen Mond, the Texas A&M quarterback, is the Senior Bowl MVP just this last year. So he joins people like Herbert and Daniel Jones, Phillip Rivers, Dan Marino. There are 3 quarterbacks in the history of the SEC, the entire glorious history, to have 9,000 passing yards, 1,500 rushing. Tim Tebow, Dak Prescott, and Kellen Mond. That is the entire list. And this guy went legend a few years ago. Listen to this. He beat a Joe Burrow LSU team 74-72 in 7 overtimes. That is what and think about that, 74-72. And lastly, before we get to the tape, there's a little attitude going to the draft with this guy. Kellen Mond likes to retweet people who say that he's a huge draft steal. Like, he'll be like, yes, yes, yes. He's selling himself. He wants it. He feels it. Now, let's take a look at the tape.
Give me
he does show it. Let's go to the Southeastern Conference. First of all, this is just a casual 60-yard bomb right into the end zone. Strong arm to beat the Gators here. Next. Watch the quick decision. He's got to do it right now. He's going to get hit in the face. The receiver's not turned his head yet.
How'd you get these highlights with the words all on the field? I didn't get that.
It's an incredible thing, Nate. It's called Microsoft Paint. Now, a little bit of a wild man. He's about to get hit. He's just going to chuck it over the middle, but right on the
Look at that
dots. Really good. And then, hold on. You got to run, right? We'll get to the running in a second. Watch the Alabama safety. He's going to wait for him to turn his shoulders. He's taking away that corner route. So look at this nice little right over the middle for a yak. Right through Tuscaloosa. You got to be able to run in this league, son. Can you run? North Carolina loses contain. Mond is out the gate. Is he going to get to the end zone? Yes, he is. Again, 1,500 career rushing yards. This guy's a playmaker. As we said, MVP Super Bowl, Senior Bowl rather, tied with total touchdown, Eccentric thinker, too. Not a fan of elevators, likes escalators. He was asked, if you make a bunch of money, will you refurbish the Texas A&M facilities? He goes, yes. I want to swap out the elevators and put in some escalators. They're much cooler.
Really?
Wait till you get a load of some stairs, Kellen. It'll blow your mind. I like this guy. There's a lot of hubbub about his throwing motion. It was put on the Instagram, and people teed off on him. It's a little herky-jerky. It's one of these little weird sort of Phillip Rivers-esque short arm things, but the results are there. The tape is there. And again, did it in the SEC. We have talked exhaustively quickly about the top quarterbacks. Trask and Mond are knocking on the door too. Loaded class.
Trask and Mond,
Yeah.
not the guys that mentioned at the top of this thing, Peter Schrager. This draft has 5 quarterbacks likely to come off the board, mocked to come off the board in round 1, early in round 1. Are there teams that are eyeing a quarterback like a Trask or a Kellen Mond on day 2 of the draft? And what is the value difference? Like, what is the, are there teams like Chicago that are like, I like those guys, but these guys might be better value?
Yeah, absolutely right. And you don't know if you can take them at 20, but then if they're sitting there in the second round, it's like, yeah, let's do it because of the economics of it all. And I think teams like Chicago are interesting to watch. I think Washington's interesting to watch. I think the Patriots are interesting to watch. If they don't get one of the top 5 quarterbacks at 15, they can sit and wait in the second round and still get a Trask or a Mond or a Davis Mills out of Stanford. I'll say this about all these quarterbacks. It's been hyped as this 5 quarterback class. A lot of people have Mond and Trask going either early day 2 or maybe even being that 6th quarterback taken where a team trades back into the first round and gets them on a 5-year deal. Both of these guys will be really interesting to watch. And we might wake up Friday morning and say, wow, there were 6 quarterbacks taken.
Right.
Kyle Trask or Kellen Mond might go there that high.
If Chicago took a Mond or a Trask, how would you feel?
At 20. I think it's a
pretty
possibility.
rich. And if you go in deep into like Bears Twitter and everything, Trask is the name that terrifies them. They don't want it. However, listen, I don't think it's a given, like you're saying, that they're day 2 guys. Peter, your initial mock had Davis Mills from Stanford being in the first round. I actually think that there's going to be 6 quarterbacks taken in the first round. I think at the Bears, I think it's a little rich. I think you could trade back and still get one. I wouldn't want to take him at 20.
Thoughts on quarterbacks? How many think you are going in the first round, Nate?
I'm not
5?
sure. I feel like the first 3, we know what we're going to get. After that, depending on who's up, they could slide into the second round. So I have no idea. Same thing with the wide receivers.
I don't know what's going on at 3. I think we'll be debating that one up until...
We will be.
Well, you asked about the Bears. According to P. Striggs, if the Niners pass on Mac Jones, he could fall. Who the hell knows where he goes?
To 20?
Oh, no.
All right.
6 days.
Cleveland, not the only home for the draft, not only the home. It's also the home of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.